Hello and welcome to the Saltcast. My name's Ryan Johnson and I'm your host. Today I've got Paul Johnson and Dan Peisner with me today. Dan, it's been a while, and Paul, it's always great having you back. Welcome, guys.
Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Ryan. Glad to be here. Good to have Dan with us as well today.
Oh, I know it. Dan's always a very welcome presence. Now,
glad to be back.
Today, I kind of wanted to talk about, I think we're a little late in the game with this topic, but I want to talk about the Florida Amnesty program they have out right now. And you may remember, I think earlier this year, Florida finally released its economic nexus laws and marketplace facilitator tax laws into its books. It was one of the few remaining states that hadn't had any legislation on that. But now there's a sales tax amnesty program. So I was hoping you guys could talk about, who this is for, who can take advantage of this. Is it a great program, and how you can go about taking care of and getting into this Florida Amnesty program?
Yeah, I'll let Dan get into the weeds of it, but it's quite unique when it comes to Florida. When they pass this legislation, remote sellers, and the marketplace facilitator legislation, it's a big deal. Florida and Kansas effective July 1, and then Missouri came on board, but they're not going into effect until 2022 or 2023 even. But this amnesty it's almost like it's not a publicized amnesty. I feel like there's still a little bit of gray, but definitely in the legislation and the publications put out by the state of Florida allows for marketplace sellers, specifically those that are selling through a marketplace facilitators or through a marketplace provider, a marketplace facilitator, can definitely take advantage of. And I know that we've had a couple of good candidates, and we've helped a fair few clients go through this process. And so I'm grateful to have Dan here. He can talk a little bit more about his experience and what he's seen. What do you think, Dan?
Thanks, Paul. I think it's definitely spot on with the amnesty. The unusual thing about this one is a few years ago there was a massive tax amnesty through the MTC. And a number of states decided that they were going to offer this large amnesty program for online sellers, and Florida actually participated in that. And it was kind of if you register now and pay collect and remit the tax going forward, we're going to forgive all your past transgressions, so to speak. And in this case, so we thought that was it. Everybody got their bite at the apple. Participation was decent. It wasn't as good as the states had hoped. We kind of thought that they got their one shot, their one opportunity, so to speak, and that was going to be it. And then this legislation came along with the opportunity to requiring registration as of July 1st. But there was a little provision just kind of put in here that says that if you are a remote seller, and they kind of include in there, or in this case a marketplace seller, if you register as of July 1st, 2021, before October 1st, 2021, and start collecting and collect tax if needed, then your past any tax liability through that platform is going to be forgiven. So in essence, it's another bite at the apple for as far as this online facilitator amnesty goes. It should be noted that this is probably going to be the last shot at an amnesty. A couple of important provisions to keep in mind with this is only for remote sellers who accept orders outside of Florida and fulfill the orders into Florida. Now, the law does say it can be from a location in Florida, so Amazon inventory should be okay under this. But if you've had sales offices or employees or whatnot, if you had nexus in Florida other than just through a marketplace facilitator, you may not be eligible for this, and you may not get the benefit. So before you go signing on the dotted line with that registration with a July 1st start date, you want to look at your Nexus footprint and make sure that this is the right option. The voluntary disclosure is still out there if you have had presence other than through a marketplace facilitator, so you certainly want to consider your options before jumping feet first. I do agree with Paul and that definitely that this is for how good it is. It was actually it was almost done quietly. The state really didn't put it out there that prominently like they have other amnesties. They haven't been promoting it, and from what we've heard, the Department of Revenue's been is ramped up their audits, trying to catch taxpayers because I think they know that that this is out there, so they're trying to, if the rules are very specific, if you get a notice from the state of any kind, audit, a billing, a collection, you're disqualified. So it's in some essences is almost a race to see if you can get there first, and they did get I'm pretty sure they got information from Amazon through one of the subpoena processes. So it's been interesting.
I think what makes this one also a little bit unique is they talk about remote sellers being able to be forgiven of the historical sales, and you think to yourself, well, if you're a remote seller and you didn't have Nexus, Nexus is that minimum connection that allows the state to require you to collect tax. And so if I'm a remote seller, the state didn't have economic nexus in place, then why would I have any liability for my historical sales anyway? I mean, the state had no right to impose that I collect tax. But it's specific for Amazon sellers specifically because they have inventory in the state, and it's just so surprising to me the number of Amazon sellers that we talk to, how they don't realize that physical presence, the inventory stored in the Amazon warehouse, whether it be an Amazon warehouse, a 3PL warehouse, your own warehouse. I mean, that gives you physical presence and a requirement to register. And so you do have historical liability, which, also another surprising factor is when people find out they have Nexus and a requirement to be registered, they go ahead and get registered when Nexus was established, several years ago. And then now they have all this historical liability. So I think it's wise, Dan, you bring up the VDA, because if you did and you don't classify as a remote seller, with the caveat of remote sellers are also, in this specific instance, considered Amazon sellers with inventory stored in a warehouse, which isn't the case in other states, but in this specific case. So if you have employees, sales reps, 1099 contractors, you make deliveries in your own vehicles, or whatever the case may be, then this amnesty program may not be right for you, but a VDA may be right for you.
Absolutely, Paul. And if you had one way to I think look at this program, if you're an Amazon seller, if your only presence in the state of Florida is that you had inventory in the state through a warehouse, if you hadn't had any other presence in the state, this is really a golden opportunity, and it's the best insurance that you could buy. I mean, you register effective July 1st, 2021 with the state. Even if you technically didn't have the requirement to register anyway, because it specifically says if you register as of that date, your past liability is forgiven, and then sales prior to everything after July 1st, it's made through a marketplace facilitator marketplace seller is going to be forgiven in that. Now, if you have sales through a non-facilitator channel, if you're making sales through Shopify or through another platform on your own website, you are going to have to collect and remit those taxes, and there could be some liability issues on those after July 1st. So there could be some consideration there, but it really is. I mean, this is if Amazon's had warehouses in Florida forever, so this is. I mean, this is an amazing opportunity. There are traps for the unwary here, so you want to make sure that you don't have some other physical presence that would toss you out of this program. But for those that truly do qualify, that they have no physical presence other than maybe an Amazon warehouse, It makes perfect sense to register, start collecting the taxes through any other and non-facilitator platforms that you've got, but and then just report those sales on a going forward basis. There really is, at this point, I can't think of any arguments aside from what I already mentioned for not doing it.
Yeah, I think also businesses ought to consider strongly registering just because of the forgiveness. And and you may think to yourself as a business, Amazon is now required and collecting that tax going forward from July 1 forward. So why bother register if Amazon's got it taken care of? Well, the historical liability is reason enough to get registered and at least just file a nil return to again get relief of the historical liability that was there. So it's something to definitely consider. I mean, obviously, as businesses who are registered are considering now deregistering or closing their account down to mitigate their number of returns that are filed. But I think this one makes sense to file a nil return in order to clear up that historical liability that was there for the remote seller specifically.
Absolutely. If if filing a few zero returns for a year gets you out of 3, 4, 5+ years worth of 5, 6 figure back liabilities, then that's a great trade-off.
Yeah.
And what you alluded to earlier, we actually have had a couple of clients that we've taken through this process, and it's, I mean, unlike prior amnesties, there's really nothing to it. There's no contract to sign. There's no writing in to request. There's no there's no submission you have to do to a website. I mean, we hadn't seen the department really put out any guidance on it. Like we said, they've been silent on this practically. It's basically a footnote in a press release, but all you have to do is just register with the start date of July 1st. So it's we did this for a few clients, and they were, I will say that between them they wiped out a healthy 6 figures worth of potential tax liability. So it was, I mean, it was a perfect timing for them. It was great value, and for having to file a few $0 returns since all their sales are through facilitators, it's a great trade-off. I mean, it's just, you can't say enough about it.
Yeah, no doubt. It's awesome.
Yeah, sales tax liability can be quite hefty if you are doing quite a bit of business and you're unaware of what your responsibility may be. It can be put quite the damage on your bottom line if you're having to pay 6-figure fees. Oh, I can't even imagine.
That reminds me, Ryan, of being at the White Label Expo just the last couple weeks ago in Las Vegas, and we're going to the White Label Expo in New York next week or in 2 weeks, and one of the most asked questions that we would ask of people that attended the show was, is sales tax keeping you up at night? And sometimes we would get the answer, no, it's not. And our response was, well, maybe it should be, because you're not aware of what's out there. It should be keeping you up. How much is at stake and what your liability is. So, what's next call? It's a free consultation call. It's just a click away. Very easy, very simple, and offers you the peace of mind to know that you can sleep at night without having to stress too much. And I think it's awesome.
No, exactly. And, we are the sales tax people. I mean, we eat, sleep, drink, live sales tax. And so, knowing that this Florida amnesty really wasn't publicized just goes to show how valuable this What's Next call could be. Because that's something that could help you recognize that you could take advantage of. And it really is just a phone call away, scheduling a time with us. And we can, oftentimes Dan will be on the phone, Paul will be on the phone, and help you get the peace of mind to move forward. So again, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Paul, for being on with me today. I think this is great information, and it could really help out a lot of people.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Thanks, Ryan.
Yep. We'll talk to you all later.
Take care.